This is ASOTU Unscripted, and I'm your host, Errol Bomar.
All right, welcome back. This is Errol Bomar here, ASOTUCon 2025, and as you know, this is Unscripted. Now, this is where you have the opportunity to tell your story. No cue cards, no notes. Hopefully you didn't bring any of those things because you don't have to throw them out right now. But before we get there, let me introduce our next guest. So do me a favor, put your hands together, stomp your feet on the floor, whatever you need to do to make noise. I encourage you and implore you to do that. And I'd like to welcome Enrique Gago. Enrique, welcome.
Thank you.
Do you have any notes, cue cards, or anything that you plan to talk about?
No, sir.
Good. All right, fantastic. Because this is Unscripted, and I was going to have you throw those things out, right? So first and foremost, let me ask you, ASOTUCon, is this your first ASOTUCon?
Yes, this is my first one.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so this is day one. What do you think so far?
I love it, man. I just want to say thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a privilege to be surrounded by a lot of individuals that are definitely having an impact in our industry. At the same time, you know, from production to, you know, the type of speakers we're having, and obviously it's the first half.
Yes.
So far, it's been great. You guys have been doing amazing. Having the opportunity to sit down and talk to you is also a blessing. So thank you.
That's good. I love that. Well, thank you for being here. This is we're gonna say it now. This is the first of many, right? So
first of many.
This is just the start. All right. So tell me a little bit about, and this is what I love to do. I love to go then, now, and maybe even talk a little bit about future, right? So then is how you got here. How do you get into the automotive space? And then we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing now in the automotive space, and then even project about what's going to happen in the future. So tell me, as I like to call it, every hero has one, your origin story.
All right, so how it all started. Well, if you would ask me 5 years ago, would you ever be in the auto industry?
Right.
Or would you ever, even think about it? I would have said no.
Okay.
My wife, Christine Gago, at the time was my girlfriend.
Okay.
Back in 2022, it was Digital Dealer, October.
Yes.
She invited me to work the booth.
Okay.
Just as a regular booth person,
support,
right?
yeah.
Support. And so I did. I accepted that, right?
Okay.
I didn't know anything about the product. I didn't know anything about the industry, really.
Right. You knew her. That's all that mattered.
I knew her.
You're like, whatever you need, I got you.
Exactly.
I
And
love
then
that.
I also was able to communicate. So
Okay.
that's all I really needed to do at that time. But it evolved, right?
Okay.
So little did I know, my brother, Alberto Gago, which is the owner of the businesses, was working a deal behind closed doors by the end of the year of 2022 to acquire a business in our community that was an auto repair and tire shop.
Ah, okay.
It's been there for 30 plus years.
Yes.
And when I came back from the show, he said, "Hey, bro, do you want to come and do operations, and
Right.
work the business with us?"
Okay.
And I said, "Yeah, man." I didn't even hesitate. I said yes.
Wow. I love that.
And so going back to that point is I understand operations. I
Yeah.
understand lean management. I didn't really know much about the auto industry, but I understood systems and processes. I understood, the day-to-day.
Yes.
And lean management and operations, I mean, you can apply that to any type of industry, any type of business.
Absolutely. No
And-
matter what it is.
Yeah. And so when that happened, we acquired the shop and the tire shop, and then we started implementing those systems and processes. And at the same time, we felt that the industry itself, it needed a change too, right?
Okay.
My brothers worked for big dealerships. He understood the service department. He was a service director. And with that, we kind of teamed up and said, okay, you handle what that part of the business is, and I'll handle the operations. And so what we did is we decided to go back to the basics, right? We decided to focus on transparency, focus on trust, focus on, the feeling that consumer is going to have after they come to our shop and how they actually see us, right? Build that trust.
Right.
And that was the main thing. Focus back to the basics.
I love that. So
And
keeping it back to the basics, because I think that's a great point, and I know everybody out there can hear it, but apparently we needed our own theme music. So we've got a breakout session starting in, as you can see, 1.5 minutes. So bear with us on the audio. We've got our theme music in the background, and we'll wrap it up in a little while. But focusing on the basics, right? And it really sounds like what you incorporated with the basics was the importance of the people in that situation, right? Helping and solving and being a part of that community. Because you said the business had already been there for 30 plus years.
30 plus years.
And so now with the takeover, I mean, there's another 30 plus years ahead of you, right? So what are some things, that you're looking forward to in the future? What are some things that have you excited right now about what the future is going to hold?
So for us, we wanted to implement different ways of, like, everybody talks about innovation, right?
Yes.
But innovation can't happen if your foundation isn't right? If you don't have the right values, if you don't have the right culture, if you don't have, your systems and processes in place at first, right? So we had to evaluate that first to make sure that, like you said, the next 30 years, we have something, strong. And that's what we're doing right now. So when I come to the shows, it's go to the expos and learn about all these new products. But at the same time, I think for us is the educational that comes with it too.
That's great.
Learning what others are doing and what not to do, because what may work for X business may not work for us.
Absolutely.
Right. And so if you understand your business, if you understand your model, then you're able to make those decisions. Right now, we're definitely working on what the actual consumer needs, right? Affordability, right?
Okay.
And not only on the auto shop side, service, but also on the used car dealership, right?
Yeah.
So we have a used car lot, understanding that consumers can afford vehicles.
Okay.
So what are we doing to, one, make it more affordable?
Yes.
Two, see if we can figure out a way to bring in better vehicles at a better pricing. And so coming to the shows, right, we're learning all that part. And I think that being open to new ideas, being open to learning from others, right? But at the same time, understanding that if there is issues in your business, maybe you need to look within and see, okay, is this an issue that I need to work on because it's me?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I think that's big, because what you're talking about is a lot of times it's intent versus impact, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we have a certain intent of what we're trying to do and trying so hard to get something across, but not realizing that our impact may be opposite of our intent. Mm-hmm. So having that intentionality of what you mentioned, of being able to look at self first and then identify, like, wait a minute, is there something that I can adjust that will make that impact that I'm having a little bit different than maybe what, and match my intent. So I think that's huge. And I love the other thing that you said, which I think is very big and is a big takeaway, is that you can come to a space and continue to be a student, right? Mm-hmm. You said it, that one thing that you're looking to do is come here, learn, right? Take what you can use, but leave what you don't, right? And I think that's important as well, because that is ultimately how you can still secure and propel growth, is being able to identify and say, hey, you know what? Like you mentioned, this is going to work in our market, but I can't take what is going on in their market, because that's not going to work for us. Mm-hmm. And being able to know your brand, your product, I think that's huge. So what's something that, now that you are in the industry, right? Because I know you said, hey, I didn't plan on being here. Right. What's something, if someone else was like thinking about the industry, and now fast forward, now if somebody asks you, are you going to be interested in being, I know you're going to say, yes, I'm in the auto industry. What are you telling folks that maybe are considering this industry, or just are considering even coming to like a conference or something like this?
So something I always say, even at the shop or at the dealer, and just individuals I talk to on a day-to-day in our community, is, when everybody's playing defense, you go on the offense. And that happens in the industry, that happens in all industries, right? When you see people or companies or businesses or individuals that are playing defense, you double down, you go on the offense. So if you have that, oh, well, the industry is not doing so high, why should I go in? Well, you know what? If anything, it's one of the best times to get in. Right?
Absolutely.
And the same thing, even with the hospitality or the restaurant industry, right? During COVID, everybody's like, "How you're in the restaurant industry?" And
right.
you know, and that's what our family did for the last 10 years. We own a restaurant, and it's like, yeah, I can close the doors,
right.
or we double down and go on the offense.
Right.
When everybody's playing defense, and that's really our take on that, right? Yeah. Obviously, calculated risk, right? As business, owners, you need to understand that. But, have include everyone, because without your team, you have nothing, right?
100%.
Without a good product, you have nothing. Service comes in play. And my brother focuses on many things, and one of those things is transparency, right? Yeah. Accountability, communication. And we always focus on doing what's right, changing that perspective in our industry, because it's been the perspective of the industry itself has just been so bad lately.
Yes.
And that's okay, and for the consumer to feel that way, but then it's our job now to change that
100%.
Yeah. So there's always this phrase, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right.
So I think that starts, with the individual, that starts with ownership, that starts with everyone in your team. So if you want change, then you got to make some changes. You got to pivot.
That's it.
So that's really our take and how we're trying to do that in Ocala, Florida. And so, yeah. I
love that. I love how, and you can definitely speak to that directly, right? Because like you said, it went from never would I be in this industry, or no, absolutely not, I'm going to be in this industry, to this is what I do, right?
Yes,
this
sir.
is my thing. And I love that. And even to your point about, going on the offense, one of the things that we used to say is it's simple. You risk or you rust, you venture or you vegetate. You got options. You can choose either one. And choosing to say like, hey, I'm going to figure out whatever this is now, whatever this new norm or whatever this temporary norm is, I'm going to figure out how to operate in this space and be successful. But I know I need the right people along with me that share that same vision and mindset, that no matter what it is, we can overcome, we can persist, we can keep going. And so I love how you mentioned your family with the restaurant, of being able to say like, yeah, we could close the doors, or we can just figure out how we're going to keep selling the food that we've been selling for all these years, and figure out what that looks like now. And then when it changes and we don't no longer have to do it that way, well, then we'll figure that out too, Right. But having that cohesiveness to be able to figure it out, I think is important. Before we get out of here, I'd love for you to tell people where they can find you, how they can connect with you. Tell them a little bit more about, if they want to get in touch or more information, where they can contact you at. Yeah,
of course. So my name is Enrique Gago, again, here at Gago Brothers Automotive. And you can find us at www.thedrivecenter.com. We have social media, Facebook and Instagram at The Drive Center. Again, thank you again for having me. The show has been great so far. So, I'm excited to see what's up to come.
That's it. I love that. And that's right. We're excited for you to be joining us on Unscripted. We're going to continue moving forward, continue to risk and not rust, and continue to venture and not vegetate. And I hope you do the same. We'll see you on the next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for listening to Unscripted. At ASOTU, we're obsessed with uniting people around one big idea, that thriving people are the only path to a thriving and profitable industry. If that resonates with you, then head over to morethancars.com, join our email list, and explore our full list of podcasts.